And now, the survival show that once survived wearing acid-wash jeans. In this episode, we go back to basics with a short discussion on the Basic-8. It's your simple mental model for ensuring your preparedness bases are covered. Howdy and welcome to the Rabbit Hole's Urban Survival Podcast. This is episode number 293. I'm your host, Aaron, and you are in the Rabbit Hole, safe and sound. A quick note before we dive into this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss out. And if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you're into that kind of thing. Last note before we dive into today's topic, there are 6 episodes left in this season, and that also means there are only 6 episodes left of the podcast. Then all the new stuff will be strictly in video form on YouTube. There will be a link in the description to the full yet short explainer bonus episode that explains what on earth is happening to the rabbit hole. All right, let's get into it. In the previous water basics episode, we discussed the thinking that went into forming the Basic-8 concept. We'll cover it again quickly for those who missed it. You usually hear it said as food, water, shelter, security, companionship, etc. But when I started building a bug out bag course, I wasn't happy with the more traditional model and felt it needed to be rethought and reorganized. The reason why I wasn't comfortable with the traditional model is that it doesn't put things in the right order, which could lead to ineffective prioritization of needs. For instance, I thought to put food at the beginning to be a suboptimal way of stating things because water is way more important than food in most cases. You can go up to 3 weeks without food, but only 3 days without water. Using a timing and dependency look at the primary and base survival priorities, I place it as number 2, body temperature being number 1. Now that we're all caught up, let's get into it. There are 8 primary categories we'll use to ensure your basic needs are considered and met. This model will help you during kit builds, when considering your basic levels of preparedness, and give you a mental model to use should you find yourself in a situation that calls for action. So, if you're building a Bob or EDC kit and you ask yourself, does this kit contain everything it should? The Basic-8 model helps you avoid wandering down the rabbit hole without direction. In order of importance, the categories are number 1, body temperature, number 2, water, number 3, rest, number 4, food, number 5, health, number 6, security and mobility, number 7, contact, number 8, information. Again, the order is important, but keep in mind that this list is situation dependent and all of these are interdependent on one another. Okay, so body temperature. Besides a lack of air, being able to maintain an approximate core temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit is your biggest concern. Maintaining body temperature can be as much about staying warm as it does staying cool. Most experts on the subject of survival would word shelter in place of body temperature. The two are interchangeable for our purposes, but I've specified body temperature because it is what shelter is protecting, and I want it to be clear in your mind. On the subject of water, briefly, you can only go 3 days without water. The short window places it above food because you can go much longer without food. Make sense? Keep something in mind. Most people are walking around dehydrated as it is because they don't drink enough water. This state of perpetual dehydration means you'll likely have a bit less time to figure out water than you may think. Besides being essential to normal bodily functions, dehydration will lead to confusion and an inability to focus. Dangerous in a survival situation, right? Your ability to store and treat ample supplies of water is vital. Rest. Rest may seem like a weird one, but it is critical. The current world record for going without sleep is 11 days. The longest I've ever personally gone was 3 days in college, and I can't imagine going longer. I can't even imagine going 3 days again. A lack of rest plays absolute havoc on your higher level cognitive abilities. However, Rest is also about keeping your mind occupied and giving it a rest from whatever ordeal you're dealing with. That is the reason why you will often see a deck of playing cards suggested for inclusion in a kit. Now, food is number 4 in the stack. You can go up to 3 weeks without food, give or take. This longer time frame is why food falls lower on the list than the previously mentioned items. I'm not saying it isn't a concern, it certainly is. A lack of food will lead to cognitive issues and a reduction in comfort. Nobody wants to be hangry in the zombie apocalypse after all. However, it's not the immediate concern people unconsciously make it out to be. Moving on to health. Health means merely first aid, supplies, and skills. If your medical skills exceed first aid, I leave this up to your capable hands to figure out what that means going beyond first aid, CPR, and the like. Number 6, security and mobility. Security covers your awareness of your surroundings as well as your ability to fend off danger. Fending off threats is usually an easy one for most preppers, given some thought. But situational awareness becomes a question of what can aid your ability to be aware of your surroundings. Now, mobility is part of security because it is about moving away from danger and to a more secure area. Contact, number 7, is a complicated topic. Human beings start to lose their marbles if they go too long without human contact. No matter how much of a lone wolf you think you are, you need contact with other people. Now, I don't expect you to end up stranded on a deserted island talking to a volleyball, though. So, for our purposes, contact is as much about having a network as your ability to send and receive information. Your ability to make contact by transmitting messages can be what leads to your rescue. It can also be what keeps you aware of your surroundings and what is going on in the world. Finally, number 8 of the Basic-8. Information relates to any data or instructions. This includes things like maps, personal information packets, and anything to help aid you in your knowledge base. You can only reliably hold up so much information in your head, and you may need to share information with others. Final summation. When thinking through a kit build or situation, work through the Basic-8 to answer the questions and fill the holes in your preparedness. 1. Body temperature. 2. Water. 3. Rest. 4. Food. 5. Health. 6. Security and mobility. 7. Contact. 8. Information. And that's what I think about that. Damn it. Show notes, resources, and links from this episode can be found by going to intherabbithole.com/E293. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, just look in the description below this video. And speaking of YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to do all that YouTube stuff. Throw us a like, subscribe, and slap that bell around because bananas are yellow. With that, we wrap up episode number 293 from the Lone Star State. Till next time, stay safe and sound.